I know Jubilee gets a lot of slack for some of the debates that they have, and I do think there's worthwhile criticism, especially when they do their 1v20s. One of the more interesting formats they have is the roundtable, and I'm going to see a section of this video because apparently two rightoids decided to go at it. And I think it's hilarious when this happens because of the deciding lines that get used to break the people apart. That's what I heard anyway. Maybe the where I heard it was over exaggerating. Well, let's talk about it. The rightoids are the two people on the left. We've seen him, our misguided brother, and then this fucking idiot, and of course Parker Dean.
The Navy is gone, as I've said 1,000 times. The Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Everything's gone, and they're negotiating on fumes. But we'll see what happens. Maybe we have to go back and finish it. Maybe we don't.
Trump is proving that peace through strength works. Iran is negotiating because it knows America is finally willing to finish the job.
If we're considering that, quote unquote, demonstrating peace through strength is getting Iran to negotiate, and more specifically, getting them to negotiate by first starting a war, well, then I don't think that this is something that's been proven to work, considering the fact that we were in a better position a decade ago under Obama with the JCPOA without a war in Iran.
Yeah, I would just disagree with that immediately. I don't think that the JCPOA was peaceful, right? Because the JCPOA essentially allowed the Biden administration to unfreeze billions of Iranian assets that were held in Qatar, held in Iraq, and so on.
That is indeed that fucking idiot, Def Noodles. All right, what did this dude say? He said something fucking stupid right off rip.
Well, then I don't think that this is something that's been proven to work, considering the fact that we were in a better position a decade ago under Obama with the JCPOA without a war in Iran.
Yeah, I would just disagree with that immediately. I don't think that the JCPOA was peaceful, right? Because the JCPOA
is the argument peaceful, or is it whether or not there's some like red line determination of what peaceful actually means, or is it peaceful in comparison to what Trump is trying to negotiate? Neat little trick. We'll see how he explains it.
Essentially allowed the Biden administration to unfreeze billions of Iranian assets that were held in Qatar.
What the fuck does that have to do with the JCPOA when it was enacted? That limited to the point prevented. It took away the incentivization of Iran to build nukes. That's the question. Nukes. That's always been the question with Iran. Jesus.
In Iraq and so on and so forth. Under the Obama administration, they unfroze assets, and under the Biden administration, they also unfroze assets. And this essentially allowed the IRGC, as they are the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, to support groups like the Houthis in Yemen that have disrupted global maritime trade in the Red Sea. I believe specifically $200 billion of the economic damage that was done in the Red Sea because of the support of the IRGC. They created the Yemeni civil war in 2011, for example, with conflicts with one of the largest economic partners of Saudi Arabia. They fueled and funded Hamas to support them and gave them intelligence to conduct October 7th, which was the second largest terrorist attack in the 21st century. I mean, the Hezbollah, for example, in southern.
All of these are unprovable claims. It's often the MAGA tactic is have a simplistic thread to utilize to expand it to co-sign every crazy rational belief that they had. The simplistic thread that they can assert is the idea of, unfreezing assets, which Iran owned. And of course, one of the big things regarding this relationship, the primary thing in regards to this relationship, with releasing that and releasing sanctions, is to decentivize them to build nuclear weapons, which is the primary reason, because Trump got rid of the JCPOA, the primary reason why Trump decided to attack Iran, or that's what he says anyway, because they're building nukes. Twice attacking Iran because they're building nukes. So I don't know, the guy who attacked them for nukes, I don't know how you're using this argument to indicate or insinuate that what Trump is doing is more peaceful. That's so backwards.
Lebanon, right? And their war with Israel and their South American drug trafficking operation that was like Operation Cassandra, I believe, exposed in 2008 by the DEA. Sure, like the JCPOA limited their enrichment, right? It wasn't at 60%. But the issue with the JCPOA doesn't account for Iran being the main state sponsor of terrorism. And it also didn't account for them having the largest missile stockpile in the Middle East. So that's like the main issue with the JCPOA.
So you do disagree with
We're just lying. The main issue with the JCPOA has always been nukes. I think this is an easy like reroute to the crux of the conversation. Everything else he can't prove anyway, so it's kind of a waste of time.
Because even Donald Trump is in his negotiations with Iran is willing to relinquish economic sanctions on the country, promoting more economic activity, which would then lead to the same sort of outcome as like unfreezing their funds, for instance. So that's like my one issue. When I hear people on the right saying, well, the reason why I disagreed with Obama's JCPOA is because it unfroze funds. It gave them back some of the money, which they sold goods to us in the 70s. Well, we'd see the same outcome from, Trump's war today. If we relinquish the sanctions, if we allow them to promote more economic productivity within their own country, well, then they're going to have more money to do the same thing.
Well, the real is like 2 million to the dollar. That's one. And number two, currently they've suffered like $4 billion worth of lost oil revenue because we blockaded their blockade, right? Preventing them from also exporting oil over to China, which about 50% of their oil goes to. I do agree that like Trump offered them like a short-term relief where they can export oil, not because that he loves Iran, but just to obviously like
nobody
decrease
ever loved Iran.
Global economic turmoil because of the oil loss, obviously. But generally, he does believe in John Bolton's, Mark Levin's, Lindsey Graham's maximum pressure strategy on Iran. And I don't think this is like a new war. I just think Trump is addressing things that other presidents or prior presidents were not able to address.
Do you think that Trump got Iran closer to a nuclear weapon?
No, I don't believe that Trump got Iran closer to a nuclear weapon.
You don't think pulling out of a JCPOA led to them getting closer to a nuclear weapon?
No, because Trump would be willing to actually strike Iran in their facilities. Like
See, the way they use their logic chains, the delusion that they have to live in is quite fascinating. So he can make this kind of thread of logic regarding the, releasing of assets that was Iran's in the first place and releasing of sanctions, and create all of this speculation that they used this money to fund all these terrorist organizations, blah, blah. I can't prove any of that. But then when you have a very clear argument, a very easy to understand logic chain, where the idea was very simple. The primary purpose of the JCPOA was to decentivize them to building nukes. And then when Trump got rid of it, they enrich more uranium, and he says he attacked them for nukes. How does what? I don't know how. You have to be a special kind of fucking stupid to not be able to draw such an easy logic chain. JCPOA, prevent nukes. Trump got rid of it. They enrich more uranium. He attacked because of nukes. So that makes sense that getting rid of the JCPOA incentivized them to build more nukes. And then they even said afterwards, after the first attack, that they need to defend themselves, giving more incentive for nukes. Fucking brain dead. MAGA, come on. It's just the selective use of logic is like some of the most evil and maniacal stuff that they tend to do. To be honest, I disagree with this Iran shit for other reasons. I'm honestly just sick of spending money after fighting or funding other countries. Left hates me because I don't want to fund Ukraine. I think that's crazy as well, personally. Right hates me because I don't want to fund Israel. I'm not booger eating Groiper, but I do agree America should be put first. I, at the very least, I think when I engage people based off whatever like political talking point that we're guiding, I think it's always necessary to understand their foundational principles. And does it have a rationale, and does it have like a moral clutch? And the idea of spending more money to protect America, even though I don't agree with that sentiment, I understand where the foundational principles lies. It's called protecting thy own. That's just simply what it is. Especially when you have envisioned futures of America that could be better than the current status quo that people are extremely dissatisfied in. So I do I can make a lot of very easy arguments on why international intervention is necessary from a liberal democracy that is America. The rationale to stay doing what we're doing to improve and create a better America, I understand where that comes from. And I don't think that's necessarily ignorance of larger implications. I think that just comes from something that is easier to understand. Protect thy own. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it.
Natanz, Fordo, and Isfahan were struck during Midnight Hammer.
So because they got closer, we then had to strike them, acknowledges that you are saying that it actually got closer in the first place. So Trump pulling out of the JCPOA did get Iran closer to a nuclear weapon. Would you agree?
No, I wouldn't agree to that.
That's just denying reality.
This guy is just an idiot. I'm glad Parker is smart enough to wait. If they bombed him because they're building a nuke, that means they're closer to building a nuke, right? No, I still don't. Fucking idiots. It's not fun when you're that stupid or that nefarious. It's just not enjoyable.
What you're failing to understand is their enrichment. Hold on, their enrichment was 60%, right? Which is really close to 90%, which is weapons grade.
Is that higher than 3.67?
Of course, but the reason. But can I respond to that? Can I respond? Can I respond to that really quickly? Okay, great. What you're failing to understand is that the intelligence report that came out before that was that they were not trying to build a nuclear weapon. Of course, they were at the 60%, which was a crazy level of enrichment, but we didn't assess that they were actually actively willing to build one. And if they were going to actually go for a bomb, like they were, for example.
If he makes this argument, he has to bite the bullet that the Trump administration lied about Iran having nukes. You're gonna have to bite the bullet that Trump lied. Nothing about this argument is gonna make you look good. Nothing about this argument.
Before in the earlier 2000s, we would actually strike, right? For example, Biden was not able to reinstate an Iran nuclear deal, but I believe if Iran were to really try to get
realistically, we won't start meddling, and even if we did, that money wouldn't go to roads, education, etc. But in an ideal world, I would be an isolationist outside of trade and maybe medical aid for possible contagions, and the money we spend elsewhere would be spent here. Realistically, we just can't keep giving a shirt off our back we don't have. Stop meddling, but I won't go off track again. Yeah, I mean, I just don't. Obviously, I don't agree, and then I think there is a necessity. I don't trust other countries like Russia and China. If they expand their influence, I think that could be extremely dangerous. I do think there's a necessity of America being involved. I do think there needs to be more of a reliance on other countries. I think that's one of the few things that I was probably good. Not necessarily the way Trump is going about treating NATO and our allies, but there should have been more of a push for them to be more involved and more sovereign. That does remove a lot of political capital we have over these countries and political leverage in general. And it does minimize our power and control in general. But I do think the most ideal way for a global society to operate is trust in all countries. There should be plenty of limiting principles, preferably for me, in a liberal democracy type of global hegemon. So in order for us to get there, some of these other countries or coalitions need to step up for sure.
Nuclear bomb during Biden's time period, he wouldn't be willing to strike, and Trump would be willing to strike.
So prior to Midnight Hammer, were they higher than 3.67%?
I think you already know the answer to that. Yes. Of course.
Yes. Is that closer to the 90% necessary to be able to weaponize the enriched uranium?
Yes, but we'd be able to strike before that.
So they objectively are closer to a nuclear weapon. Do you now agree?
Yeah, but they were closer in 2021.
So now he agrees.
Biden.
He's now conceded. Thank you.
Okay. I mean,
I kind of fuck with that because this guy was being our little misguided black brother. It was on some bullshit. Even Mr. Def Noodles was like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about?
The issue closer to peace through strength if he's established us in a worse position and actually.
Well, it's not a worse position. This is
a nuclear weapon now.
The issue is hold on. Can I respond? Hold on. The issue is that your argument's very reductive. So, for example, Marco Rubio has made it very clear, along with everybody else, that it's not just about their nuclear weapon this time. Like, we didn't get the highly enriched uranium. Yeah, we bombed Natanz and bombed their facilities again, obviously, but we've done more than that, apart from, for example, hitting their Shahed drone capacity, their missile capacity, destroying their destroyers, right? Depleting their naval capacity, hitting top IRG and nuclear scientists, and making.
Bro, I should have like a meter called the Coon meter. And if he keeps on spouting some bullshit like this and capping for the white man, I'm not really like that. I'm not a Wookiee, but I just do find sometimes you got to call up like, this guy is full of shits, and I don't get why he's such full of shit. It's aggravating.
Their government dysfunctional, right? Stressing their economic ability to project power by obviously decreasing their monetary means by like $4 billion. So it's multifaceted than just nuclear weapons. And I think the reason why we're in the current position that we are is because Obama, right, and prior US presidents like Biden thought that it was just as simple as their nuclear weapon. No, Iran is a much larger threat than just nuclear weapons. I mean, for God's sakes, they produce drones for Russia, right? They give cheap oil to China. There's so many other different variables and how them being a destabilizing force. Looking at it through purely, the nuclear weapons is a very reductive way of doing it. I know that's like the main thing that we bring up because that's like the biggest fear factor, but it's more multifaceted than just the nuclear weapons.
Your position relies on being actively at war with them. They will just be able to build up all of those missile capabilities after, so there's a perpetual need to constantly go back to war with them. So you're actually not providing an option that gets you closer to the deal in terms of preventing them from getting a nuclear weapon, because actively going to war with them reduces our bargaining power, because it led to them actually just, closing the Strait of Hormuz, which inevitably...
Why are they willing to engage now?
What you said, why are they willing to engage? Are they really engaging?
Yeah, they are. Actually,
why did we strike in southern Lebanon?
So the negotiation...
Answer the question. Why did we strike in southern Lebanon if they're negotiating?
Okay, really quickly. So Israel has been the one striking in southern Lebanon, not America. So I think you're just confused.
So they're not coordinating?
Well, coordination now is different from us actively striking. So I like how you're changing the topic.
Hold on.
We've just gotten so far.
I'll let him go. I'll respond.
This dude, I don't know his name. They should have a name thing. This dude's so fucking moronic. Like, I just don't. He's trying his hardest to defend this action. If he was more honest in the sense that maybe I should reroute it. I think he should just be honest that he wants to go to war with Iran. I think that's what needs to happen here.
We're only looking at a microscopic aspect of the claim. We're not even looking at all the actions that happened that could be argued. There was Venezuela. There were the strikes that happened last year. Sure, the war has been, in my eyes, a tremendous failure. Hasn't really proven peace through strength has worked. But as far as the claim that Iran is negotiating because it knows America is finally willing to finish the job, I don't believe that's true. I mean, I don't think there's anybody coming to the table. I think that we're just having Israel still strike them by proxy. And I think.
Wow, Death Noodles is being based. Now, I know this comes from his Groiper anti-Israel side, but he's being based.
I think that, honestly, I'm just looking at this objectively. Sure. I think that it benefits, and I'm saying this as a Republican, I'm saying this as somebody who saw just everything just flip on our party the moment that this war started, that we're cooling things off because we're about to get slammed in the primaries. That's really what's happening.
It's true. I mean, it is. I mean, we look at the approval.
Yo, MAGA on MAGA violence. MAGA on MAGA violence. That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. MAGA on MAGA violence. Hey, he's correct. The reason why Trump is scaling up, him and the MAGA movement are scaling up the idea that negotiation deals and peace deals and now are willing to attack Iran, as we've seen in recent news. This is because they want to finish this conflict as quick as possible, because it is one of the primary reasons why people are so pissed and people hate Trump. And one of the easiest ways for people to usually attack the economy is gas prices, and you're causing energy prices, including gas, to go up. So our Groiper MAGA, I won't call him a friend, Groiper MAGA how do I call someone I still hate? Enemy of my enemy. Enemy of my enemy. Cook this other MAGA rat. You Phil, finish that. Nick's down by 4. Oh shit.
Marys. That's really what's happening.
It's true. I mean, it is. I mean, we look at the approval rating of the war in Iran inside of the American electorate. We see it's like 16%. Okay, not too many people support it. You, me, and Parker included. But I mean, once again, just reducing ourselves down to the bare bones of the prompt. Donald Trump is proving peace through strength because he's showing strength. He's going to war with Iran, and that is the mechanism in which is then allowing them or making them negotiate with us. Well, I feel like the answer to this question is so obvious. Okay. Obama got them to negotiate. I know you think that he negotiated a poor deal with them because he was unwilling to freeze their accounts. Okay, well, that's exactly what Trump is going to do with other monetary means in the war today, regardless if it's either directly giving the money or indirectly giving.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much co-sign a lot of what Dean is saying here. Let's see more MAGA on MAGA violence. I think that's why we're here.
Completely decimated, by the way. I'm just going to get the enriched uranium and their missile stockpile in the Middle East, right? And stopping the 3 main terrorist groups they support. That would be, encompassing a deal like that would be great. The JCPOA included sunset clauses, which meant that within 10 years in 2025, where it ended, obviously, they would be allowed to continue to enrich uranium, and you'd have to get a new deal. And there was nothing in there that ever encompassed anything about their terrorist organizations, which we gave them more money to support, or their missile, for example, power. By the way, a day before the 12-day war started, okay, I believe the IAEA came out with a report saying that Iran had enough enriched uranium for 9 atom bombs. And then we struck with Midnight Hammer, okay? And Trump gave them a 60-day warning, right? Before that, to sign a deal, they refused and they were hit. Simple.
So you're wrong about a couple things. First, you had a misunderstanding of what the IAEA said. They didn't say that they had enough enriched uranium to build 9 atom bombs. They said that they have enough uranium that if they were to further enrich it, they'd have enough to build 9 uranium bombs. That's the official reporting from the IAEA. Check it out yourself. This is something I looked at 2 weeks ago in the middle of a debate because somebody made the same point and I Googled it. Now, the second point that I'll make here is, while I think that you're kind of throwing on a lot of extra justification for Trump's war in Iran that just simply doesn't exist. You're saying, well, not only is he going after this nuclear threat, but all these other things like proxy terror groups, power and control over the Middle East as a whole. And that's not what we see. When Donald Trump started this war on February 28th, why did he say he did? Not because of terror groups, not because of the Houthis or Hamas, but rather because of a quote-unquote imminent nuclear threat that never existed, as confirmed by our DNA.
Dean is locked in, man. He's been listening to me, even though I'm reacting to this after. But shout out.
Or I guess who we had as our DNI at the time, Tulsi Gabbard. Everything else that you've added on in the middle of this debate is not something that they've added on from DC. It is your personal justification for the unjustified. And I'll pass the mic to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's the narrative around the war itself has changed multiple times because Mike Johnson, Tom Cotton, even Marco Rubio, and there's a State Department memo from April 21st that says that we preemptively struck with Israel because Israel was just going to strike them, and we did it in defense of our interests there. I don't think it's really peace through strength to attack.
I find it interesting. Maybe what happened after he got cooked so bad in these debates and started actually looking up facts, maybe he's starting to learn that MAGA is not this great thing that you thought it was after you got cooked so badly. Ooh, who would be up?
On behalf of another country. And then at the same time, you have people like Jonathan Pollard going on podcasts saying that the next aim is Turkey, that they're going after Egypt. So this is obviously we're there to ensure the security of Israel.
I'm going to have to come back. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to come back. I'm going to have to end stream early. Okay. I did have to end my stream and finish and watch the Knicks game with some of the boys. That Knicks comeback was insane. All right, let's finish watching this, though.
It's not peace through strength. The reality of the situation is, if it were truly peace through strength, it would be in America's interests. On behalf of our interests as taxpayers, we're funding a military action that's not helping our country.
So I think we got a lot of things said, talking about the JCPOA and Iran, whether or not they're a nuclear threat or not an imminent nuclear threat, whether or not we should be involved in this conflict and the complexities around the nuclear deal, and whether or not this is truly worth it for America or America first.
Imagine boarding a plane and hearing the pilot say, "Don't worry, this is actually my first time flying."
It's corruption in plain sight.
Trump's IRS settlement is not just justice for political persecution; it's corruption in plain sight. They all agree because you added two things. Not just. Oh, it's not just. Why'd I put just? It's not justice.
Wow, we all agree.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see everybody's light on.
Oh my goodness, MAGA admitting when it's corruption. Maybe there is hope. Just like the Nick coming back. Maybe there is hope.
Oh, wow, we all agree.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see everybody's light on. Well, this might be less of a debate and more of a chit chat, I guess.
We're talking about whether or not the DOJ is being weaponized by the Trump administration. Obviously, there was a big conversation about whether or not a special counsel would be established to go over Trump's grievance with the IRS. I'm pretty sure there was a man named Little John who, former IRS contractor, obviously, he exposed a lot of IRS information relating to many billionaires, including Trump, and that was obviously awful. But the main thing is,
yes, exposing people who are not paying their taxes is awful. Oh my God, it's the worst thing in the world. Billionaires not paying their taxes, that's illegal, but we're not going to expose them. Okay, whatever.
Is that Trump now controls the DOJ, which falls under the executive branch. And so he's overseeing his own claim with the DOJ that when he has his own cabinet members obviously overseeing it. So obviously that creates a conflict of interest, and I agree that's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to build off of that,
surprised.
Not only does he oversee the DOJ because Todd Blanche was his nominee for the acting attorney general, but I mean, it was a lawsuit against himself. Donald Trump sued Trump. He sued the IRS, who he also appointed the administrator of, and then it was legislated by the DOJ. And Todd Blanche is literally on camera saying that, and I quote, he is in love with Donald Trump. It's ludicrous. So yeah, getting Todd Blanche, your ex-personal lawyer that you paid millions of dollars to over the course of his career, that claims he's quote unquote in love with you, to sign off on never investigating you, your family members, or your company.
And utilizing the fund to pay your loyalists and potentially your family is another terrible part, especially since it had no legal precedent behind it.
For any tax fraud that you've committed up to this point in your life is very corrupt. I mean, it's the creation of a new system of justice where you and me could be thrown in jail for a crime. And if Donald Trump has committed that same crime throughout his life, he couldn't even be investigated for it. That's clearly corruption in broad daylight.
I actually have somewhat of a nuanced opinion on this. First of all, I think the IRS is a criminal organization that should be abolished. That's right off the bat.
How do you run the government without the IRS and without?
We ran it for years.
Yeah. How do you enforce taxes though?
I don't think he wants taxes.
No taxes.
So no Social Security, no Medicare, no Medicaid, no food stamps, no unemployment insurance.
You could have
all of that's privatized.
Abolish all the taxes. Go back to a tariff model.
Anytime anybody has the no taxes position, they learned about politics for the first time in some random ass fucking TikTok or YouTube, and learn about libertarianism. And I don't want to shit on libertarians, but it's such a fucking stupid idea in every sense of the word. I mean, they all agree, so there's nothing spicy here. Let's continue. Let's get to the spice. All right, what's the next one?
That gendered so much super PAC money in opposition to him. Well, he opposed the war in Iran, and so do the vast majority of the American people. He demanded that the Epstein files be open, which is what the American people have wanted, and he refused. What a crime, what an outrage, to be a rubber stamp for Donald Trump.
Foreign entities and super PACs are ruining American democracy.
No way, dude.
Are you against Thomas Massey?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
Bigger issue is you actually want. Hold on. Now, let me ask you a question. You actually want.
Oh, mega violence. Mega violence. It's like watching. No, I'm not going to finish what I was about to say. Let's continue.
Foreign money influencing our election.
Well, so APAC is not foreign money. That's really quickly. So AIPAC is the American.
Wait, where does it say APAC on the prompt?
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
What does it?
hold on. It's called.
Foreign entities and super PACs are ruining American democracy. Green light, red light. Oh, I have the same microphone, so I guess I could technically play, right? What would I push? I would push. How do I change the colors? I think I push this. Yeah. I mean I agree to this. Foreign entities is very easy. You could bring up like the hacker campaign that is coming from countries like China and Russia. So that's easy. And then super PACs. Super PACs I don't like. Let's quickly define super PACs real quick. Super PACs definition. I think super PACs versus PACs. Because, like, in general, I am not against the concept of lobbying because I do think there's value in organizations that are in, like, advocating for a policy or advocating for some general position. I have no issue with them, like, raising money and, like, supporting a candidate. Where it gets disgusting is when it comes down to super PACs. Because super PACs don't have the restriction. They can rise and spend unlimited amounts of money. I think a more controlled situation of, okay, organization raises money and you only can kind of keep it here. So there's not this kind of weird, disgusting discrepancy is like the biggest thing. So yeah, I think the idea of a super PAC, the idea of being able to raise as much money as you want to support a candidate like Elon Musk did, where he was giving like millions of dollars and telling people vote so you could potentially win this money is fucking insane. It's disgusting.
I'm sorry. Wait,
it's called
Matt,
context clues.
who
He
brought up
mentioned
AIPAC?
foreign. This doesn't say AIPAC.
Well, no,
so I'm
foreign
going to
applies.
presume he's
Foreign
talking
applies
about
to
AIPAC.
Qatar. Foreign
No,
applies
I'm
to
sorry.
Chinese.
I'm sorry. At no point did anybody
India
say
has a pretty
Israel.
big
At no
PAC
point
too.
did anybody
Right,
say
but
AIPAC. No, just let me
Sure,
finish.
okay.
The prompt
AIPAC,
literally
they're
just
free.
says foreign entities and super PACs are ruining democracy. He says, why do you want foreign money in politics? You say Israel. Go ahead.
Okay, great. The reason why though is because I know that he likes to talk about Israel and AIPAC a lot. So knowing that context clue, I already jumped to what I knew he would immediately try to mention and talk about. So that's the reason for that. Let's go ahead.
I said foreign PACs for
Okay,
a
that's
reason.
fine. That's fine. But let me go ahead.
There are numerous PACs.
There's no such thing as a foreign PAC. That's not
Yes,
how that works. Right?
They
You're talking
represent
about-
foreign interests.
You're talking about groups registered under FARA specifically, and those are not called foreign PACs, right? There's no such thing as foreign PACs.
You're telling
It's
me-
illegal for any PAC to take foreign money. I want to just denote.
He's correct. I don't understand who he represents when it comes down to what he's putting out there. I have no idea who this guy is representing other than being a token. I just genuinely don't understand.
Right, the notion that this is mainly about AIPAC.
For example, like my political positions, what I try to represent is I try to represent a progress for the people in general. And typically the idea of raising, especially the poor, impoverished class, and focusing on better like resources and building people up from the ground up. These are the things that I have. I don't know who he's advocating for. Because at least the people that I advocate for are within my hey yo. I'm gonna keep that to myself. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm gonna keep them playing.
For
I got
example,
distracted.
foreign entities. And the reason why I say that is because John Cornyn just lost the Republican primary race for the Senate, obviously, in Texas. And he has taken over $2 million from AIPAC, and he has never opposed Israel in terms of any bills or anything like that. Yet he still lost. Why did he lose? Well, he lost because Trump is the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party, and he has total unilateral control backed by billionaire donors in terms of who can win. And so do I think that that's generally a good thing? Yes, because when I I look at Thomas Massey, I disagree with a lot of his policies in this proposal. I think that he turned the whole Epstein thing into a scandal that didn't need to be. And he obviously decreased his percentage rate. Let me finish. He obviously decreased his percentage rate in terms of supporting the Republican Party and voting with the Republican Party, going from like 99% to 91%. And so acting as a dissident, obviously he should have been opposed, and he was.
Okay, your point's just subjectively retarded. That's all I have to say.
That's a great argument. Great argument.
No, it is, and I'll tell you exactly why. When people are getting 6 pieces of mail for 2.5 weeks, talking about how the guy is just an awful human being, when there are literal AI ads falsely framing him as though he's hanging out with Ilhan Omar and AOC, and you have a boomer at home, the disclosure just flashes so quickly on the screen that they can't even tell, and it looks like hotel security footage. Now, the issue that you're misunderstanding, it's about foreign influence within our elections. And yes, very much. The American-Israeli PAC, okay? The American-Israeli PAC, as well as there's a PAC similarly for India, similarly for Qatar, for all foreign nations try to influence our politics. And there is money coming in from abroad to shape our foreign policy. To say otherwise is just either disingenuous or you're having a brutal disregard for the truth.
Let's talk about the foreign money that has been influencing our election. So if we go on Open Secret specifically from 2016 to 2024, we can look at all of the money that has been specifically spent. I believe that Israel, from that time period, spent 33%, right, meaning 1/3 of what Saudi Arabia and Qatar specifically sent. We're talking about foreign lobbying. I believe they were about around 200, and Saudi Arabia and Qatar combined were over $600 million. And so the fact that Bernie Sanders, let me finish.
You're not even arguing.
We're talking about foreign influence. Yeah, hold on. Let me finish. Yeah,
you're actually giving even more reasons to believe that foreign entities are influencing.
Hold on. But except that Bernie Sanders mentioned AIPAC, he's talking about Israel more specifically.
No, I literally mentioned Qatar.
Yeah. The question is foreign entities. The hyperfixation on Israel seems a little bit personal. I do declare.
I know you mentioned other countries, but he mentioned more Israel, and I'm just making sure that we understand the amount of money that has been spent by, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the general Gulf countries. Now, it's significantly more than Israel has actually effectively spent.
But
let me ask you another question.
You just presented a fallacy that people love to present when they're trying to defend Israel as far as its influence, financial influence in our elections. So $250 million from Miriam Edelson in Trump's election. That wasn't directly through AIPAC.
She's an American citizen.
Dual Israeli.
So what?
Again, the first meeting that Miriam and Sheldon had in the White House, what were they advocating for? Explain it to me.
They can advocate for what they want to advocate for. Right. Miriam Edelson, right, and the late Sheldon Adelson were both American citizens that obviously had a lot of support. It's like you're talking about dual citizen, not dual Israeli.
I'm a triple citizen. I can talk about this shit. I know what I'm talking about.
Okay, great. So wait, hold on. You're triple citizen.
Yeah.
Citizens of what other countries?
Italy and Brazil.
Okay, great. Hold on. Should you be able to hold elected office here in America, given the fact that you are a citizen of other foreign countries?
I actually have a proposal where if you are elected into office and you have dual or triple or however many citizenships you have to renounce it.
Okay, given the fact that you are running for office here in California, are you going to make sure? Hold on, let me really quickly. So when you run, given the fact that you are running for office here in California, you do agree to everyone here that you will renounce both of your other passports as soon as you are elected, correct?
I've already filed the paperwork.
Okay, great.
Yes, you don't have to hold me to this. I've made speeches about this. I actually have a plan that's called the JFK plan, okay, that's about removing dual citizens from public office if they're not willing to renounce their citizenships. I'm about...
That is insane. He's trying to remove people's dual citizen. He's trying to denaturalize citizens if they have dual citizen. That's insane, bro. That's insane. I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of crazy. I'm gonna be honest. It's super insane, but... whatever, mega on mega violence, let it rock.
Having sole allegiance to America. That's it. If you are in elected office, because we have issues and it goes beyond the Israel stuff. We have Ilhan Omar, who travels over to Somalia as a dual Somali American citizen, travels over to Somalia and says that she's working for the benefits of Somalia in U.S. Congress. So it's about having sole allegiance to America. And yes, I've already filed the paperwork, but you know what? In Italy, especially, it takes about 2.5 to 3 years for it to... Why do you have to act like this?
I'm curious. Have you spent any money on any campaigns whatsoever supporting any candidate as you have been a triple citizen?
What are you talking about?
I'm asking you a basic question. Have
Yeah,
you spent?
of course.
Oh, so as a citizen of 3 countries, 2 that are foreign, you have spent money on American elections.
Okay,
And you're
let me
complaining
say
about
this.
Miriam and Sheldon Adelson that are only citizens of 1 country spending money on American elections. You, sir, are a hypocrite.
Can I say something? If anything, I'm showing that I'm willing to hold myself to a standard that I'm demanding from my elected officials. This isn't a hypocrisy.
I'm actually not going to attack you right now. I'm going to attack you. You said some dumb shit earlier.
Right.
You said that you don't like Thomas Massey because he tried to turn the Epstein files into a scandal.
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's first start off by discussing what you're calling a scandal. What you're calling a scandal are many women, girls who have been victimized,
Not
who have been
paying
raped,
attention.
who have been.
Not calling that a scandal at all. You're misunderstood my entire point.
I thought you were about to say that there hasn't been many.
No, of
women
course they
who
have been,
raped,
and I
who
think
have
it's
been
awful.
exploited, who have been trafficked.
Right.
And then we have Thomas Massey, we have Rep. Roukhana, and they set aside their political differences to come together on agreeing to singular facts.
Right.
That predators should be held accountable, that pedophiles should be in jail, and rapists shouldn't be roaming free in the streets of our country, in the sense of the Epstein files. So they passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
Right.
They give a platform to the victims. They allow their voices to be heard on the internet, on news, and to be voiced through our federal politics and policy in an attempt to force the Trump administration, who vowed to never again release the Epstein files, to then be forced to release the Epstein
Okay, great.
files.
Let me just go ahead and say
And for you to call that a scandal, I think is a mutiny. I think it is a act of terror against victims of SA and other survivors in this country. And I hate to hear such disgusting.
Right. So this is like a basic example of someone not having like good comprehension skills and like misunderstanding an entire person's point. So I didn't call what Epstein did to his victims and, for example, anybody that was a co-conspirator with Epstein that engaged, for example, like Ghislaine Maxwell. I didn't call any of that specifically a scandal. I think that many people like Thomas Massey, like Roukhana, like other people tried to turn this into something that it wasn't, right? This whole belief that there's a...
What? You're blaming Massey and Roukhana for that? You're not blaming the party that ran on it. They used it for their campaign. They talked about how they're about to release the files that's on my desk. They brought in influencers that had clipboards of the files that it's about to release some information to them. You're blaming Massey and Kana and turning it into something it's not. What is it? Very powerful people taking advantage of little girls. What else could it be? Well, why won't they release the potential co-conspirator list? What else could it be? That was one of the dumbest statements he said today. And he said a lot of dumbass statements.
perfidious secret cabal of people, right, trying to cover up for Epstein and trying to cover their tracks. Yeah, I believe that that specifically is a conspiracy theory that has yet to be substantiated. I want to mention something.
Then why'd they have to
Epstein,
pass
let me
the bill?
let me finish. I let you finish. Under the Trump administration specifically, Epstein was prosecuted, right, until he obviously killed himself. And furthermore, over 3.5 million files have been released under a GOP Congress and a GOP, for example, executive branch specifically, right? Over 20,000 documents relating to Epstein's emails called, you know, you can literally go on Epstein's Gmail and you can check them all out, pictures, photographs, stuff like that. Under the Trump administration, we have released the most, we have now been aware of, right, made notice of, enlightened to the most transparency regarding Epstein, knowing who he collaborated with, who he sent messages with, who he knew, people that were working with him, foreign leaders and their involvement. So all of this has specifically come under the Trump admin. And so I give Trump credit for this. What Thomas Massey tried to do was to try to act like Trump was some sort of a pedophile, when actually in the Epstein files, there was a document specifically that came out talking about the former Palm Beach police chief, Michael Ryder, that specifically said that Trump notified Epstein, or Trump notified Michael Ryder, who was the former Palm Beach police chief, in 2006. And Trump said that Ghislaine Maxwell was Epstein's operator, and that Epstein was evil and to look into Epstein.
Being an historical revisionist is not cute, lowbrow. Okay, it's simple. You're sitting over here saying that the Trump administration released all.
Dean, I don't hate it. You gotta say a little bit more oomph. He is definitely a historical revisionist, and it's very interesting on the information he decides to extract from the Epstein files. You know, because there's a lot in regards to allegations of what Trump has said, of what Trump has done. But all that, even though there's so many of it, nah. But there's one potential quote about Trump talking about Epstein, and the only reason why he didn't like him in the first place, said by his especially said by his brother, is that Epstein screwed him over regarding like this financial deal. Because Trump was also aware of everything they've been doing for years. Very interesting.
These files, most transparent admin in modern American history, as if this wasn't the same administration calling MAGA supporters dumb if they wanted the files released, telling them to redirect their attention to something else because the files are quote-unquote Democrat hoax, who then had Caroline Leavitt vow anybody in Congress who voted for the release of the Epstein files was committing an act of hostility against Congress, and then when the vow to vote for the release of the Epstein files, that pledge got near half support in Congress, well, then to swear, they attempted to obstruct the swearing in of Adelita Gerhova, who would be the final vote for the majority to force the vote for the release of the Epstein files. They obstructed her swearing in ceremony for 6 weeks. And then after she was sworn, then the White House went to Lauren Boebert, MTG, Nancy Mace, and Thomas Massie, and they asked them to take their names off that discharge petition list to force the vote for the release of the Epstein files. Lauren Boebert said no. She got fucked. Her clean water bill for me and another 50,000 of the Colorado constituents where I lived was killed. Right. MTG got fucked. She was kicked out of politics. Thomas Massie got fucked. He was kicked out of politics. And the only reason why Nancy Mace didn't get fucked is because she then once again usurped into the MAGA crowd. And then for you to
Also, she's too ugly to get fucked. Yes, I did that.
say that this is the same man who wanted them released.
You're disagreeing with the whole premise. So can you at least concede that an individual citizen who's a dual citizen of a foreign country spending $250 million in an election to then have one of the first meetings to advocate on behalf of this foreign country she's a dual citizen for is not necessarily in the interest of Americans. It's a disproportionate amount of influence that you will never have, you will never have, you will never have, I will never have. Even if I'm elected into Congress, I'll probably end up having meetings where people will try to throw money in my face so I can vote in certain ways. But none of us in this room right now will ever have that level of influence. So we can spend $250 million to influence the president. So do you at least concede that this is bad?
No, actually I don't. Talking about disproportionate influence, yeah, people that have more say in the game, people that have more money, people that own companies and corporations that hire thousands of people, and are the reasons why those people, for example, have health insurance, stock options, paid leave, all of those different things. People that have the money to disproportionately pay taxes, we have the most progressive tax system in America, should have disproportionate power in reference to somebody who's relatively a nobody like yourself, right? So that's the main, that's what I think a lot of
the MAGA on MAGA violence is hilarious. Oh shit, that's just funny. That's just hilarious. You talk about you're nobody. You don't get to have influence or power. Only the people who are super wealthy, who are most likely wealthy because they abuse the system, maybe have some type of nepotism or profiting off of the people that are earning him the money in the first place. But hey, that stuff doesn't mean anything. As long as you have the money, you have the power, right? Oh man, MAGA violence is like the best kind of violence. I'd say the second best kind of violence is like anime fights, and then the third best kind of violence is like wrestling fights, and then the fourth kind of best violence is like revenge violence on the streets. You can rank them however you feel like, but I think MAGA is up there.
people don't understand.
This is why we're saying
we have a lot of people with liberal ideas.
That's fundamentally
we have a lot of people with these liberals. It's not fundamentally Americans. The most American thing known to man. Actually,
Matt, you're actually proving our point because you're showing how it's ruining democracy.
It's not ruining. It's not.
My vote means less than somebody else.
You're diluting my individual vote for the prioritization of people who have more money than me or have more ability to have control over resources, whether they inherited it or not.
Were the founding fathers more American than us?
I don't know what your point is.
Like, would you say you're more American than Thomas Jefferson?
I would say I'm just as American.
Just as American as a founding father?
Like, are you saying it?
Yeah. So what? You don't get like American points. This is not fucking China where they're trying to create like a social credit system. We don't have American points. What the fuck are we talking about? Oh, you have 100 American points. Founding father, 100. No, I don't think that's what they were thinking. Oh, we're the founding fathers, so we're just above you. What is going on, bro? Who taught them anything? I'm disappointed in his parents.
Support of American values, or are you saying
What's
in
your
terms of
point?
being a
Are you
citizen?
just not a citizen, American values? Are you more of an American than Thomas Jefferson, who was a founding father?
I would argue I represent more of what America should value today than Thomas Jefferson.
Not today, just generally. Are you more of an American?
Yes. No. Actually, no. Americans are equal. What is this line of logic? Man, I think this is weird as fuck. You know what you should ask him as a follow-up? You should ask him, is that rich fucking rich person in the early 1900s, is that person more of an American because he owned slaves? Was he more of a... This is a stupid fucking bullet to bite on, I'll be honest.
Again, in terms of values and principles and understanding the Constitution, than Thomas Jefferson, a founding father, was.
How are you defining American? Let me just
Wait,
clarify.
Just because you know more about politics and the Constitution doesn't make you more American. I know more than like 90% of Americans. That doesn't make me more American than those people. This is so stupid. What is this logic?
I just told you, I'm talking about the Constitution, American values, right?
I think it's just
and the
wasting the
creation of the
last 30
Republic and so on and so
I think
forth.
it's like a living,
This is
breathing
not a hard
document.
question.
I think it's a living,
You're more
breathing document. So I would say I would uphold it to a greater extent today than Thomas Jefferson did then. Because
What does
I
this
think
have to do with
document
past
changed
foreign
over time.
influence?
What does this have to do with him selling
but he's
himself
not.
short
He's dodging your
demonstrating
question, but
that
it's
indeed
no.
super PACs and
shit.
foreign entities are ruining the American democracy because he said
You
the more
haven't
money you
proved-
have,
So why
the
do
more
you
power
vote?
you have, the
Why
more
do you vote at all?
You have
Under democracy, it doesn't matter if you're a man, it doesn't matter if you're a woman, it doesn't matter if you're old, it doesn't matter if you're young, it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire or you have a single dollar to your name. Your vote should matter just as much as the person standing next to you.
Hold
and
on.
for you to say otherwise is exactly why.
No, you're less of an American, so your vote should actually minus in percentage. Honestly, you need to have at least, I would say at least 85 American points to be able to vote. That's probably my threshold. 85 American points.
These types of things are ruining the American democracy.
What is democracy?
Why do you even? No, I want to know. Why do you even vote?
Okay, really quickly, can I ask Dina a question about that actually? So
Just get to
would
my
you consider
question
yourself
afterwards.
like politically literate and very much aware of American politics and things that are currently going on to a pretty high extent?
This guy kinda
Significantly more so
Than
compared
the
to
average
somebody
person.
like the average
Of course. So would you say that, let's say we have a homeless man that knows nothing about politics, doesn't even know the three branches of the government, and I can go
So this is what happened. This is exactly what happened here. This motherfucker learned a little about politics earlier on. His parents raised him around it. Got a little bit more educated. So compared to his peers, he deemed himself smarter, deemed himself better, and now he kind of carries that superiority complex, and thinking that he, just because he knows a little bit more about politics and maybe legal principles, constitutional principles, that makes him more valuable. Brother, trust me, you're not. You're not. I get being around a lot of people that you're smarter than them. I understand that. Brother, you're not that special. So you got to relax. You got to relax. No matter how much I criticize and shit on like people who are dumb, people who are ignorant, people who are bad actors, overall, in terms of like what they provide for society can be different. But the true essence of them being like an American citizen, that is equal across the board. Now, what you do with that American citizenship status is up to you, but it's equal across the board. I don't know what this guy is on.
go up to him and say, hey, vote for this person and I'll give you like a burger or something, would you say that that person should have as much political and voting power as you?
Yes.
Yes, and that's exactly why I spent. Okay, so wait,
That's why we're in the show.
give me more than 3 words.
That's why we're in the
Give me more than 3 words.
This is an entirely.
No, give me more than 3 words. No,
This is an
no,
entirely
no,
different
no, no, no,
argument,
no,
though.
no. I understand the reason why you screamed wow is because you didn't want me to give you a fleshed out response to get a gotcha moment for a 5-second clip on TikTok. But yes,
Yeah,
I
posting
do
that, by the
think that a homeless person in America should have the right to vote, even if they were to be easily influenced and swayed to vote for a person by you offering them a $20 bill, which is exactly why I spend my days trying to end homelessness, which is exactly why I spend my days trying to educate the American electorate, which is exactly why I spend my days trying to ensure that the average voter is just as informed as I am. And the reason why I do that is because I don't treat an individual's right to vote in the American democracy as optional. There's no trade-off. I don't care if they're homeless.
Yeah, this is such a dog shit point. What's the next one? Trump falling asleep, visible health problems, and erratic online tirades raise some serious question whether he's mentally and physically fit for the office.
Put it up. Of
Yo, why is Def Noodles being so fucking based? Did he get cooked so bad he learned his lesson? I mean, taking away dual citizenship is crazy, but there might actually be like consistent moral principles there.
I'm sorry.
I did not expect that was the last thing.
Okay,
I
we're just gonna open it up. Of course, his mental and physical problems raise questions. That's no.
Oh shit! I looked at this completely wrong. He's denying that there's problems here. I take back everything I said. He is an idiot. What was I talking about? I completely misread that. Communism saves what?
Of course, his mental and physical problems raise questions. That's no fucking doubt about it. He threatened to genocide 90 million people. So he's threatened to fall asleep in the Oval Office. Well, he hasn't.
He's threatened.
Yeah, sorry. He's fallen asleep in the Oval Office more than we saw Biden. He goes on delusional sycophant tirades on Truth Social at 3 a.m. Like, I think 2 weeks ago, in less than 2 hours, he posted 55 times, including an allegation that Obama is literally a demon spawn of the devil, saying that Obama had wiretapped Trump Towers, saying that Obama worked with the CIA to overthrow the government in 2016, and saying that Obama is a traitor that needs to be thrown in jail. He's also posted other shit on Truth Social, literally depicting himself as Jesus Christ, or saying that Biden died and was replaced with a robotic clone in 2022. These things, like, very clearly call into question his fitness to serve and his mental and physical well-being.
Okay, so 25th Amendment him.
Okay, so you changed your mind.
No, I'm saying
Well, I thought you
if
disagreed with
that's all
us with
factually
25th
true, then
Amendment.
25th Amendment him.
But you
Well, I mean,
disagree
it
though,
would've-
right?
So
Yeah, I disagree.
Tell us why you disagree. Like,
Yeah.
elaborate further.
I can't believe that he's criticizing you on this.
I mean, he's jumped at my neck several times here. He's like, we disagree on it. It's like,
Why do you think, bro? I might as well
clarify the
make
questions.
Parker my.
Why do you
partner
think
this
Trump
week.
is fit for office?
I mean, he's doing the job, no? Why do you think Biden was fit for office?
We could talk about
You
Biden.
think
Wait,
Trump's-
well, I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm so
hold on.
sorry.
You think Trump's
no.
unfit for office?
I'm interrupting.
Hold on, I have a
no,
second.
I'm sorry. I'm interrupting. The reason why I'm interrupting
'Cause he laughed.
is because
I
it's
wanna understand
always
one
the
thing.
but
laughing
Biden.
at this.
I don't know how you're pulling a but Biden on a Jubilee roundtable prompt that is explicitly requesting us to talk about Trump.
Because it's a fair comparison.
There's
Would
no
it not be
comparison
the
in the
last
question.
president?
Let me
Literally,
ask Trump.
hold on.
That's called the whataboutism logical fallacy. Can you actually address the prompt without bringing up anybody else or saying?
Yeah,
about
like, let's
anybody
just
else? Like, Biden is no longer in office. Let's just address this.
Let me read the
Okay,
prompt.
so
I was the
let's
person
go
to read
through. Let's
prompt
go
in the
through the
first place.
examples.
More
No,
mega
bro, I
You
got
don't need me to read.
it.
Okay, well, you're
Yeah.
talking about
So let's
Biden.
go
So
through the
clearly you
examples.
don't.
Let's go.
Shout out Dean for this. It is. I'm sure it's frustrating for a lot of people. The but Biden is like the biggest meme in history. Even in those leaked texts from Pete Hegseth and the other MAGA morons, they even noted that their strategy is typically just but Biden, but Biden. I don't know, man. I can't. I don't know how you see Donald Trump saying all the bullshit and acting like whatever he's been acting like and sleeping through everything. If your standard, if you're trying to do the double standard, if your standard was that Biden should have been kicked out, then your standard should also be Trump should get kicked out too. So I don't know what this but Biden is.
Through the examples.
Of Biden.
Anyway, that's just a test. I have to see if I'll continue on. Bro, do what you want. I'm not a communist.
Biden?
Right? No.
Okay,
Trump.
good. Thank you. Thank you for getting on
Okay,
topic.
falling asleep, right? Is that disqualifying for office?
Well, we're not saying it like it's disqualifying for office simply.
No,
if they
but
fall
that's
asleep.
that's
What we're
he's
saying-
mentally and physically unfit for office.
can I
It
explain
raises
the position?
questions. Those questions go to disqualifying.
If someone freaks out and yells and threats to ban me for saying that, I don't watch. If they respectfully disagree and give their opinion, I'll keep watching because I know they actually have foundations for what they think. If they agree, I watch because I agree with them. Yeah, I mean, just because I don't like communism, I'm not going to crash out about it. That's just not. That'll never be my personality.
So maybe I'm taking a jump. So let's just strictly stay there. Is that mentally or physically unfit? Falling asleep 3 times
I think it's
in
been like
2 years, pretty much.
it was
Right?
like 6 times in 1.5 years.
6 times.
Well, I think it's
6
I think
times
it
in,
draws
in
those
2.
questions,
6
yeah.
times in.
This line of questions is fucking stupid. Anything else interesting? Oh, the AI regulation and Spencer Pratt. I don't need to see those things. Shout out Jubilee, man. The MAGA violence is hilarious. All right, I'm gonna go live on YouTube now, so I can talk about